Coming up, Aaron Judge stands pat at 60 home runs, but the Yankees still find a way to win big. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. The Cleveland Guardians keep extending their lead in the AL Central, beating the second-place White Sox for the second straight day on Wednesday. Both Locked On Guardians and White Sox are in to tell us more about the biggest series of the season for both teams.
Cleveland Guardians win again today 8-2. They will win this series. We see if they can go for the sweep tomorrow with Shane Bieber on the mound going against Lance Lynn. Cleveland's lead in the division is 6, but it's really 6.5. The magic number is 7 because if they only win 7 more games or a combination of 7 wins or 7 losses by the Chicago White Sox, then they would be a tie for the division. And there's no game 163. So that means if they are tied with the White Sox, they win the division. So they just need 7 wins and or Chicago White Sox losses to wrap this up. The Cleveland Guardians are going to the postseason. End of story, full stop. It is going to be nearly impossible for them to not have those conditions be met. 7 games is not much. Yes, there's not much left in the season. Remember, Cleveland Guardians get to end with the Kansas City Royals. We're going to get into the changes with the Royals. We're going to get into the changes with the roster and so much. So make sure to check out tomorrow's Locked On Guardians.
If Tuesday was the nail in the coffin for the White Sox, then Wednesday was the burial. Hey, I'm Nick Morawski for Locked On White Sox. You were wondering what kind of team would show up on Wednesday after an emotional loss. It was a must-win game. I mean, a must-win series, but one game at a time. Sox lost on Tuesday in 11 innings. They said all the right things after the game. Miguel Cairo even taking ownership. Maybe you'd see a little bit of fire and swagger from the Sox trying to save face. That was not the case at all. Lethargic, apathetic, some might even say lazy performances. They lost to the Guardians 8-2 Wednesday night on the South Side. Lance Lynn didn't look good. Yohan Moncada didn't look good. Heck, Sox offense didn't look good. A lot of opportunities completely blown. A couple of errors as well by the defense. White Sox trying to salvage one game of this series Thursday night as they sent Johnny Cueto to the mound for more. Tune in to Locked On White Sox.
The Yankees put up 14 runs last night against the Pirates, and not a single one of those came as a result of Aaron Judge's 61st home run of the season. Still, our Locked On Yankees host cannot complain after the blowout.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees beat the Pirates 14-2 at the stadium to sweep their quick little 2-game series. The Yankees hit 3 home runs. Unfortunately, none of them were by Aaron Judge, but that's fine. They were still cool. Why? Well, Oswaldo Cabrera hit a grand slam in the bottom of the first, which means the Yankees hit grand slams in consecutive innings because of Stanton's walk-off grand slam on Tuesday night. And then Gleyber Torres hit 2 home runs in the same inning. Yeah, it was that kind of game. And then Aaron Judge came up for his last at-bat against Eric Stout, and Eric Stout walked him on 4 pitches. And the boos raining down upon him were vituperative and vociferous. Yankee fans were not happy. What are you going to do? It was still a good game for Judge. He had 2 doubles. He was 2 for 4, so his batting average is still higher than Xander Bogaerts, and he's still in the running for the Triple Crown. I will be recording a post-series review with Ethan Smith of Locked On Pirates, so tune in for that because it's going to be fun for me, not so fun for Ethan.
Madison Bumgarner able to turn back the clock. He got his first win since July last night over the Dodgers. Locked On Dodgers and Locked On Diamondbacks. Join us with more.
Look, we always knew the Dodgers weren't going to win 117 games this year. The only difference is now the math knows it too. What's up? It's Jeff from Locked On Dodgers. The Dodgers lost their 46th game of the season, which means they can max out at 116 wins this year. So if they were to win out, they would tie the 2001 Mariners and the 1906 Cubs for the most wins ever in a season instead of setting the record themselves, which is okay. This game, it sucked. They couldn't hit Madison Bumgarner. Dodgers only got one hit off of Bumgarner in 6 innings. They tacked on 2 more hits off of Mark Melancon in the 9th inning. Didn't amount to anything. And the worst part, Dustin May just didn't have it. His command was not there. It was, he couldn't throw the ball where he wanted to. He couldn't get ahead of hitters, and then he couldn't put hitters away. He had 12 swings and misses, decent swing and miss stuff, but he wasn't putting the ball where he wanted to, which got him into good hitters counts. And good hitters counts are called good hitters counts because they often end in good results for the hitters. And that's what happened here tonight. So rough game. Dodgers lose 2 in a row. Now they have to beat Zach Gallen to win the series. Good news is the Dodgers have Julio Urias going for them, and the combination of Julio and Will Smith behind the plate will hopefully keep the Diamondbacks from stealing all the bases like they do against Austin Barnes. So check out Locked On Dodgers for everything you need to know about this game and all the Dodger games.
Mad Bum has his best start against the Dodgers in the D-backs uniform, and the offense gets to Dustin May early to secure the 6-1 victory over the LA Dodgers. Miller Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks here. This was the best start we've seen from Mad Bum in a while. First time under 2 earned runs since June 29th, and first time against the Dodgers in a D-backs uniform that he's pitched at least 6 innings with less than 2 earned runs. So quite literally one of the best Mad Bum starts we've seen in the D-backs uniform. And we also saw the offense jump out on Dustin May early. Christian Walker, he's been a beast this year. He got the first couple runs on the board. Then Corbin barrels, cleared the bases with a double, picked up 3 RBIs. The youngsters did it all tonight. Varsho stolen base, Jake McCarthy stolen base. Very nice D-backs win. Bullpen was able to come through as well. Now the series is currently 2-2 with the 5th game being played tomorrow. So the D-backs have a chance to beat the Dodgers in a series.
The Astros able to score 4 runs in the last 2 innings to come back and beat the Rays in Tampa last night. Houston closes in on 100 wins on the season. Locked On Astros goes over another strong performance.
Astros have 99 problems, but the Rays ain't one, as they got their 99th win of the season to go 99-51 as they swept the Rays behind Lance McCullers and home runs by Kyle Tucker in the 8th inning and Martin Maldonado in the 9th inning in support of Lance McCullers. And it was a great game with one exception, the fact that Jose Altuve got hit by a pitch in the elbow, and he's now day-to-day. He was already going to get the off day on Thursday, so Dusty Baker did not give any specifics after the game, but this is something definitely Astros fans want to monitor. And on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast, we had Ulysses Sobrano on from the Locked On Rays podcast to discuss the series, the playoffs, and it seems like the Rays, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays are all jockeying for positions to see who gets to play the Guardians in the playoffs. So we'll discuss this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Coming up, more action from around the league. This is Locked On Game to Game MLB. This edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB is brought to you by Nugenix. If you're a man that wants to get your energy back to counter those negative physical effects of aging, you should check out Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen. Right now, you can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text MLB to 231-231. Text right now, you get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. You text MLB to 231-231. You're texting MLB to 231-231. Disclaimer, message and data rates do apply. Terms apply. Available at nugenix.com/terms. Welcome back to Locked On Game to Game MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. It won't feel as good as winning the series against the Tigers, but the Orioles at least got one win thanks to starter Jordan Lyles. Locked On Orioles tells you how he looked in a complete game win.
Jordan Lyles came to the ballpark tonight looking like he hadn't eaten for days. He was hungry for some innings, and he stuffed himself full of innings on Wednesday night. A complete game for Lyles as the Orioles beat the Tigers 8-1. Connor Newcomb here, host of Locked On Orioles, as the O's, at least they don't get swept by the Tigers. At least they don't go 0-6 against the Tigers this year. They salvage game 3 of this 3-game set. Jordan Lyles, what a job. The first complete game of the year for the Orioles, their first since John Means no-hitter back in May of 2021. It took him just 94 pitches. A solo home run in the 7th was the only run that Jordan Lyles allowed as he continues to eat innings. And he was the star in this game. And if he can keep doing that, the Oilers are going to win some more ball games. But on the offensive side, shout out to Kyle Stowers, Gunnar Henderson, Taron Vavra, and Adley Rutschman. Drove in a lot of the runs, the rookies getting it done. So you got some rookies on offense, you got the vets on the mound, and Jordan Lyles. This is what the Orioles brought him in to do, and he had his best start in an Oriole uniform on Wednesday night. I'll recap it all coming up on Thursday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
Logan Webb took a no-hitter into the 6th, giving San Fran a preview of a very bright future. Locked On Giants has more on that impressive performance.
Another great night for the Giants in Denver. They've won the first 3 games of this 4-game series. Logan Webb was so good tonight, he carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning, and then he was immediately pulled after giving up his first hit of the night. Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. To carry a no-hitter into the 6th inning in Coors Field is just something you don't see very often. Logan Webb was really, really good tonight. And look, he's on a pitch limit, an innings limit right now. Last year was a career high in innings, and this year he's exceeded that already. The Giants are all but eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, it's over. They're not making the playoffs. So there's really no reason to push this guy. I understand that he was cruising, but at the same time, he's probably the most important player on this team right now. And the severity of the type of injuries that pitchers sustain and how long they're out when they sustain these types of serious injuries, you can't have Logan Webb going down with an injury, so you can't risk anything. And so if they think that this is the best way to keep him healthy, then that's what they should do. But otherwise, just a great win for the Giants all around. The pitching was really good. The defense sparkled in this game, and they just had consistent good at-bats. So add it all up, and the Giants are playing good baseball in this series. So we'll break it down tomorrow on Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Cardinals and Padres are both going to be in this year's playoffs, and they could see each other in a series as well. So the series this week, as the regular season comes to an end, means a little bit more. Both Locked On Cardinals and Locked On Padres go over the crucial matchup.
Another game, another shutout loss for the Cardinals. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals, and the team is chasing history. It's just the wrong kind of history. They fall in San Diego tonight 1-0, and that's the 3rd straight shutout against them as they tally just 2 hits for the 2nd time in 3 games. They've now lost 3 consecutive games for the first time since July 3rd through the 6th and have scored just 1 earned run in their last 43 innings. Blake Snell looked like his old Cy Young form tonight, ripping through the Cardinals lineup. He had 13 strikeouts and even had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning until Albert Pujols got a 2-out single. Miles Michaelis, he's the tough luck loser in this one. He looked really good. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 unearned run while punching out 6. Now, the official record of 48 straight scoreless innings is held by the 1968 Chicago Cubs and the 1906 Philadelphia A's. And the Cardinals are nowhere near that right now. But they haven't scored a run in 27 innings. And tonight, they showed no signs of breaking out of this funk anytime soon. For more in-depth Cardinals content, join me tomorrow for a brand new episode of Locked On Cardinals.
The Snellzilla made an appearance, everybody. What's going on? Javier Reyes here for the Locked On Padres podcast. The Padres won a admittedly kind of boring game, but it was boring for good reason, folks. That is because Blake Snell, the Snellzilla, made an appearance. It's so bad. 7 innings, no earned runs, only 2 hits, and 13 strikeouts. He generated 29 whiffs on his pitches. He was phenomenal. Arguably, actually, I think kind of inarguably his best start of the season against a very, very good Cardinals lineup, one of the best in baseball, and a very patient lineup. Just a great team. What can I say? And for him to come out, in this final stretch that we've got here against a very good team, it shows a lot. It shows a lot, right? Blake Snell's been one of the better pitchers in baseball in the second half. It is awesome to see. And then Josh Hader got the save, which is very cool too. Got a little bit of help from his defense with Juan Soto making a diving catch, but the Padres now having won 5 in a row. My hair is still looking crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the final stretch. Can they get the sweep tomorrow? We'll be talking about that and more on the next episode of Locked On Padres, so be sure to tune in.
That's going to do it today for Locked On Game to Game MLB. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts to Locked On MLB, and also check out your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.